we are at the Inn at Whitewell, one of the most famous hotels in the whole of the Ribble Valley. It's also the scene of one of the greatest ever Lancastrian stings in history. We're now going to cover one of the most famous of all the Towneley members, a gentleman called Mr. Peregrin Towneley. Now, Peregrin lived at the early part of the 19th century. A very, very clever man, and an exceptionally well-liked one as well. There's nothing he liked more than talking to locals, and he got on very, very well with the people of Burnley. In fact, he used to like going hunting with them and poaching. And of course, these poachers would teach him how to poach properly. Now, he heard about some land coming up for sale, not too far behind me, in the village of Dunsop Bridge. The land auction was going to take place here at the Inn at Whitewell, and he thought, if I go to the auction, they're going to deliberately recognise me, but also deliberately put the price up. So therefore, he concocted a most amazing plan. That plan was not to shave for 6 weeks, not to change his clothes for 6 weeks, and on the day of the auction, he set off from Burnley, looking very like a tramp. He ripped the sleeves out of his suit, ripped the knees open, and really did look like a gentleman of the road. He arrived here at the inn in driving rain, looking very bedraggled, and knocked on the back door. The manager opened the door and saw this tramp in front of him. "Have you some soup for an old man? I'm starving, I'm really hungry." Well, the manager felt sorry, and he gave Peregrin a large bowl of soup. Peregrin looked up and saw a lot of people gathering in this very room. What were all these people doing here then?" shouted Peregrin. There's an auction taking place at 1 o'clock today, a land auction. They expect a gentleman from Burnley called Mr. Peregrin Townley to buy the whole of the Dunsop Bridge estate." "Oh, do they? Could I just watch then?" The manager said, "Well, you can watch, but stand at the back of the room and don't say a word." Peregrin made his way to the back of the auction room, and the room began to fill with people. At exactly 1 o'clock, the auctioneer made his way in and stood near his podium. "Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's exactly 1 o'clock. I can only presume that Mr. Townley of Townley Hall is not interested in today's sales, so let's start the bidding for the land at Dunsop Bridge." The old tramp at the back of the room shouted, "I'll give you £5, mister!" The room erupted in laughter for 2 reasons. First of all, £5 would not have bought the Dunsop Bridge estate. And secondly, an old tramp wouldn't even have 2 pennies on him, never mind £5. The auctioneer made a very stupid and critical mistake. With tears spilling down his cheeks with laughter, he brought the gavel down. "Sold the old man at the back of the room for £5! All of a sudden, there was a stunned silence as the old tramp made his way to the podium and produced £5. "Who are you? Who are you?" shouted the auctioneer. "Peregrin Townley, Townley Hall, Burnley, thank you." So, he bought the whole of the Dunsop Bridge estate by land auction here at the Inn at Whitewell. It was a legal sale. The gavel had been brought down. Welcome to St Hubert's Church here in Dunsett Bridge in the beautiful Ribble Valley. We've just left the inn at Whitewell, where we heard the story of Peregrin and how he obtained the land here at Dunsett Bridge. We're now going to cover another story regarding Dunsett Bridge and a beautiful horse. Now, of course, here we are inside St Hubert's, and if you look at the ceiling here, you'll see there emblazed in the roof here the gorgeous 1861 Epsom Derby winner, Kettledrum. Peregrin had a son called John, and John was given a present in the form of a horse called Royal Butterfly. Royal Butterfly apparently gave birth to this beautiful little colt, and as the colt was being born, the stable boys said, "Oh, sir, you've got a lovely horse here, sir. His back's firm, his head's fine. Sir, you've got a gorgeous horse. I reckon it could be a racehorse." They call that little horse Kettledrum. Ah, Kettledrum. I think it's about time we entered you for a race. Now then, Kettledrum, if you do well in these trials, we're going to enter you for the 1861 Epsom Derby. Keep going, Kettledrum. 42, 43, 44. Outstanding. Well, the turf accountants argued amongst themselves. Who's this horse? Never heard of him before. He's got no form. Also, he doesn't look very well. Now, what Peregrin had done, he put hot water on the poor creature's back so Kettledrum was actually steaming. He also put some paste in Kettledrum's mouth so the poor creature was frothing a wee bit, and obviously gave the impression that the horse was very, very seriously ill. As the accountants looked from all angles, "Oh no, this horse has got no form whatsoever. We don't even know the actual jockey. No, 300, 400, 500 to 1 against." Well, Peregrin's plan was coming together perfectly. On the day of the race, 3 hours before the race, Kettledrum was given a good meal of oats and was then groomed and led to the starting line. The sun shone brightly that day and the crowds gathered, and they were off. At first, Kettledrum wasn't doing very, very well and was competing against some of the finest racehorses in Great Britain, one of them being called Royal Dundee, who was indeed the favourite. With 800 yards to go, Kettledrum got a spurt on and got his head over the line to win the 1861 Epsom Derby. Now, the people of Burnley, they weren't stupid. They knew if the Towneley family had a horse in this race, it was going to win. So therefore, some families put their life savings on the horse to win. Well, within 3 hours, every public house in Burnley had been drunk dry. And turf accountants throughout the whole length of Great Britain were made penniless. The Towneys, of course, being ardent Catholics, their winnings that day were over £18,000. But being good Catholics, they gave half their winnings to the Vatican. In fact, it's said the Pope did in fact put £10 on Kettledrum to win the race. With the remainder of those winnings, the Towneley family had this beautiful, beautiful church built here at Dunsett Bridge, known simply as St Hubert's Church. I'm sure you'll agree the Towneley family made a huge impact on the history of Burnley and indeed the history of Lancashire. They were outstanding, and I consider it a great honour to be a member of that famous family.